Said transport is one of the most vital concepts to be discussed in biology, and we want to go through it today. Now, as we start, we need to know the most important parts of the transport pathway. Here, we have the air sacs. The air sac, this is an air sac. It is in the lungs. These are in the lungs, there are numerous of them. This is a pulmonary capillary. Pulmonary capillary. Of course, this one is a red blood cell. This is blood. This is blood. Now, here I've got a tissue which is respiring tissue. Respiring tissue. Now, this one is a capillary, part of the capillary bed. Then, of course, this one is a red blood cell. Here we have what we call tissue fluid. Tissue fluid. This is tissue fluid there. Then here we have got blood, where there is blood plasma. Now, after respiration, there are three main pathways. We have got the most important pathway is the equation, where carbon dioxide is transported as an equation. Then about close to 95%. Then I've got the second one as carbamino compounds. Carbamino compounds, the second most important. Then lastly, as dissolved carbon dioxide. Lastly, as dissolved carbon dioxide. Now, what happens is, during respiration, there is a simple equation we know, whereby food such as glucose is oxidized, that is if we consider aerobic respiration, to form carbon dioxide plus metabolic water, of course, plus energy. They may not consider the balancing whatever. Now, what happens is, carbon dioxide is a metabolic waste product. It is important in our body because our body needs some form of acidosis to make sure that the pH is favoring the functionality of enzymes and other important proteins. Now, this carbon dioxide you see here, by this method, by this root pathway here, it is going to diffuse from the respiring tissue and reaches blood. A very small fraction is going to remain here in blood plasma as a dissolved carbon dioxide. Then another one will cross into the red blood cell. Now, in the red blood cell, there is an enzyme. You know the enzyme, A-level students. There is an enzyme, carbonic anhydrase, which causes the reaction, which catalyzes the reaction between carbon dioxide and water to form carbonic acid, and in turn, now this reaction can occur without the enzyme, but the enzyme catalyzes or speeds up the rate of this reaction to meet the economic needs of the body, because also time is an important factor in metabolism. Now, this carbon dioxide you see here, the carbonic acid here formed, it is a weak acid. And as you know, within the erythrocytes, these red blood cells, there is cytoplasm, of which water is one of the components. There is no acid which is stable in water. any acid in water is expected to ionize either strongly or weakly. Now, carbonic acid weakly ionizes to give few protons, to give very few protons, plus bicarbonate ions, Now this dissociation means something. Now this one is an equilibrium because you see I've used the reversible arrows. However, the bicarbonate ions, because of the dissociation, this one cannot continue dissociating if the bicarbonate ions remain here. Thanks be to God, because of the channels that allow the fusion of these bicarbonate ions back into blood plasma. They fuse and get outside back into blood plasma. What happens? It creates a void, it creates a need for this acid to dissociate even more, to give more bicarbonate ions. As you know, by Lachatelia's principle, which states that if a system is already at dynamic equilibrium and is subject to external constraints, the system adjusts itself in such a way that it tries to nullify the effect of the constraint added. Now remove over the bicarbonate back to go to the blood plasma. It means you're creating a void which has to be filled by further dissociation of this acid here to give more protons and more bicarbonates. Then bicarbonates have to diffuse out so that there is that concentration gradient that facilitates more dissociation of this acid here because it struggles to maintain equilibrium. However, the exit of this acid here, creates an environment of a positively charged environment. Because the protons here, because in these red blood cells there is hemoglobin. However, this hemoglobin, it has come carrying oxygen. That one will be another discussion. But what happens, because of the protons here, oxyhemoglobin is going to react with the protons, forming hemoglobinic acid. Now, protons stabilizes hemoglobinic acid. It means you are creating an environment of a positive charge inside because of the escape of the bicarbonate ions. Now hemoglobinic acid is accumulating, meaning the inside of the erythrocyte loses what we call electron neutrality, which is very terrible biochemically. Now what happens is, to counter that positive charge, that to cancel it out, then chloride ions are going to diffuse from the extracellular fluid, which is blood in this case, and enter here. Remember, chloride ions together with bicarbonate ions and sodium ions are highly located in extracellular fluid, in this case blood here, blood plasma here. So when the chloride ions come here, they cancel or they nullify the positive charge of this acid here. Now, blood moves and takes bicarbonate ions to the lungs. Now, reaching the lungs, what happens in the lungs? The carbon dioxide partial pressures are low, but those of oxygen are high. So what happens in the lungs? We expect oxygen to enter blood, but we expect carbon dioxide to get outside of blood so that it can be expelled outside of the body. But now, which events do unfold here for the blood to release carbon dioxide? So what happens when blood reaches this way? We have our equation here. The bicarbonate ions are going to come and re-enter the erythrocytes or red blood cells. Now what happens after them entering there? They again, these bicarbonate ions, they again combine with the protons to form carbonic acid. Why are you expecting carbonic acid to form here? because no more carbon dioxide acid now entering here, no more carbon dioxide entering here, because there are low partial pressure carbon dioxide this way. So the equation now, we're going to form the equation now becomes spontaneous, as in this, as these ones are reacting this one here to form carbonic acid. Now in the lung, in this region here, in this kind of atmosphere here, the carbonic acid is going to dissociate, into water plus carbon dioxide. In the red blood cell, now the carbon dioxide comes and enters the lungs for expulsion. That is the journey followed by carbon dioxide in the body. Master, don't we need carbon dioxide in the body? No, we need it. I've just told you that for hemoglobin to release oxygen, oxyhemoglobin, it needs protons to stabilize hemoglobinic acid so that oxygen is released. But we shall see in another video how oxygen is being released by hemoglobin, or how oxygen is being transferred in the body. So another pathway is by this the main pathway, about 95%. The second pathway is by carbamino compounds. Some amino acid residues. Master, what are the amino acid residues? Amino acid is after combining by peptide bonds to form polypeptide chains. We don't call them amino acids, we call them amino acid residues. Some of them have got certain side chains which combines carbon dioxide to form carbamino compounds, and it is transformed protein in that format as carbamino compounds, where carbon dioxide is bonded to carbon is bonded to where this COO group is bonded to a nitrogen atom. So those are carbamino compounds. It is the second approach. Another one is by dissolved carbon dioxide in blood. With that, thank you very much. I'll be very happy to hear some of the questions you have or concerns in the comment section. Thank you very much.